Okay, in this question, we're being asked to do two things. Let's go through the question and I'll show you the two things we need to do. So the question is telling me that we have a solution of copper sulfate and its concentration is 15.95 grams per decimeter cubed. Okay, and the question asks me to then find out how many moles of this solution there are in 50 centimeters cubed. So if we take 50 centimeters cubed of this, how many moles of copper sulfate will there be? Background information that we're given, we're told that the relative atomic mass for these elements is as listed here. Okay, so my two steps, if we think about this, I'm working here in grams per decimeter cubed, and this is asking me to work in moles. So step one, I've got to convert grams to moles so I can get my answer in the right format. This means in 1,000 centimeters cubed. The question is only asking me to do 50 centimeters cubed. So the first stage, convert grams to moles. The second stage, convert the decimeter cubed, 1,000 centimeters cubed, to just 50 centimeters cubed. Okay, so taking the two stages separately, stage one is converting grams decimeter cubed to moles per decimeter cubed. To do that, I'm using this triangle. I'm using triangle because it links mass in grams and moles. So Mr. Moles underneath the mass. I'm being asked to find within this the number of moles. So if I cover this over, moles is the mass divided by the MR. Okay, so that's what I'm just going to cover that bit over for a minute so we don't get too much information. That's what I've written here is moles is mass divided by MR. This means I've got to find the MR for copper sulfate. So my thinking is here. Copper sulfate is CuSO4, which means it contains 1 copper, 1 sulfur, and 4 oxygens. Then I'm putting in the relative atomic masses that were given to me, or I can take those from the periodic table, work them out as needed. So 4 times 16, for example, is 64. Add them all up, and it gives me a total of 159.5. So that value is then going to become the MR in this equation. Okay. So it initially told me the mass was 15.95, divided by the number I've just calculated, and it gives me 0.1 moles. Because it was in a decimeter before, this is this many moles in a decimeter cube, just to remind me this is still a concentration. Okay, so step one done. I've converted the concentration in grams per decimeter cubed to moles per decimeter cubed. Stage two is using a triangle that we might not be familiar with, so I'm going to talk to you about this just briefly. And this is the triangle we're going to use to link concentration to the amount and volume. Okay, so I've got amount, the concentration, and volume. This is the relationship. I have to remember this as a chicken vindaloo. So using the first letters here to remind me, a chicken vindaloo to get the order right. And in this question, it's asking me to find out how many moles there are in 50 centimeters cubed. So I know my volume is going to be 50. I've just worked out the concentration is 0.1. So I'm being asked to find the amount. Okay. So I'm going to rearrange this equation to get that. So amount is concentration times volume. The concentration we've just worked out is 0.1. The volume, the question asked me to find the number of moles in 50 centimeters cubed. There's a little trap here. This was in centimeters cubed. I have to divide that by 1,000 so that my answer is in decimeters cubed. Okay, so it's 50 divided by 1,000. Bit of calculator time times 0.1, and it gives you an answer of 5 times 10 to the minus 3 moles.